Look, I need to get this off my thorax before the council finds out I'm the one who leaked this recording. My name is Vorp, Senior Intelligence Analyst for the Galactic Expansion Committee. 3 cycles ago, I sat in on the most spectacular military disaster you've never heard about. Because, thank the void, it never actually happened. Commander Threx stood before the holographic display, all 4 arms crossed in what he probably believed was an intimidating pose. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Gentlemen, he announced, puffing out his chest sack, today we finalize our invasion plans for planet Earth. Intelligence suggests the humans are primitive, fractured, and completely unprepared for our arrival. I should have said something right then. I really should have. But Threx had that look in his primary eyes. You know the one. The look that says, I have made up my mind, so do not bother me with facts. My colleague Bryn, bless her sensory stalks, tried anyway. Sir, perhaps we should review the latest surveillance data, she ventured, her voice translator crackling slightly. There have been some concerning developments. Threx waved a dismissive appendage. Concerning? They still use combustion engines, Bryn. They wage war over imaginary lines drawn across their planet's surface. They are perfect candidates for annexation. About that, sir. I activated my data slate, my manipulator tentacles trembling slightly. Not from fear, from the sheer weight of what I was about to show him. We've been monitoring their information networks. Specifically, something they call social media. Social media? Threx scoffed, his gills fluttering with amusement. What does their gossip have to do with military preparedness? Everything, sir. Absolutely everything. I projected the first video file. A human in primitive armor stood inside what appeared to be a combat training facility. The human picked up a massive metal weight, the kind we use for spacecraft hull repairs. Then impossibly he lifted it above his head. Again and again. For recreation, I added quietly. That is editing, correct? Threx asked. His voice had lost some of its confidence. No, sir. That is what they call a powerlifter. This particular human can lift approximately 3 times his body mass. And, sir, he is not even a soldier. He does this for entertainment. Bryn brought up another file, her stalks quivering. This becomes worse, Commander. Much worse. We analyzed their survival records. Humans have survived falls from heights that would liquefy our internal fluids. They have walked away from vehicle crashes that would shatter our exoskeletons. One human fell from an aircraft without a deceleration device and lived. Impossible. Threx slammed a fist against the console, which, let me assure you, did not strengthen his argument. There is more, sir. I was committed now. If I was going to be vaporized, I might as well present the entire truth. Humans ingest poison. Daily. Deliberately. They what? They call it coffee. Alcohol. Capsaicin. Substances that would shut down our neural pathways. They consume them for pleasure. They build tolerances to toxins and then actively seek stronger versions. The room fell silent. Only the hum of environmental processors remained. Threx's breathing sacs inflated and deflated rapidly. Surely their medical technology is primitive, he said weakly. They perform surgery on conscious members of their own species, sir. They cut into living tissue, remove failing organs, and replace them with artificial constructs or transplants from other humans. Their mortality rate is remarkably low. Bryn added another projection. They possess something called adrenaline. When threatened, their bodies release a chemical that increases strength, speed, and pain tolerance. We have documented a human mother lifting a ground transport vehicle off her offspring. A 2-ton vehicle, Commander. No, Threx whispered. Oh yes, sir. And shall we discuss persistence hunting? I advanced the display. They lack claws, fangs, venom, armor. So they evolved endurance. They chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. They can run for days. They cool themselves through liquid secretion and simply keep going. Finally, I displayed the historical combat footage. This is from their Second World War. Observe the environmental extremes in which they fight, conditions lethal to most species. They developed weapons that harness atomic fission, They split atoms for warfare. I paused. And then, this is my favorite part, they used those weapons exactly twice, witnessed the devastation, and collectively agreed never to use them again. Yet they still possess thousands, Bryn added softly. Pointed at one another, I finished. They maintain global stability through something called mutually assured destruction. That is insanity, Threx exclaimed. That is humanity, sir. The commander stared at the display. I watched confidence drain from him in real time. What? He asked slowly. Are you suggesting, Analyst Vorp? I drew a long breath through my respiratory slits. Sir, I am suggesting that invading Earth would be the single most catastrophic decision in galactic history. Threx looked as if he had been dipped in refrigerant fluid. His primary eyes blinked rapidly, the unmistakable sign that his brain was struggling to process information it desperately did not want to accept. Surely, he said at last, his voice barely above a whisper, surely we can negotiate with them. Peaceful contact. We are an advanced civilization. Oh boy. About that, Commander. Bryn pulled up another file. She was clearly suppressing our species' equivalent of laughter. We already tried. Preliminary contact probe. 17 cycles ago. Threx stiffened. I was never informed. It was classified under humiliating failures we never speak of, sir. The probe transmitted basic mathematical sequences. Universal greeting protocols. Standard first contact procedure. And the humans detected it within 6 of their hours. They tracked its trajectory, calculated its origin point, and sent a response. Threx leaned forward. A peaceful response? Bryn hesitated. They transmitted improved blueprints for a faster propulsion system, corrected our mathematics, and included something called a meme. Silence. It was an image of one of their primitive Earth creatures with text that read, "Thanks for playing. Better luck next time." I made an involuntary clicking sound. They mocked us, sir. Then, just to prove a point, 3 separate human space agencies launched craft toward our probe's origin coordinates. They are currently en route. With cameras, they announced the missions publicly, and their entire species celebrated. Threx's chest sack fully deflated. What else? Tell me everything. Sir, humans are classified by xenobiologists as a death world species. Earth is a planetary hazard zone. Seismic instability, volcanic eruptions, atmospheric disturbances called hurricanes that generate more energy than our planetary defense grids. I paused. They build cities in these regions. Intentionally, Bryn continued. Their planet contains hundreds of species capable of killing them with a single bite. And humans domesticated some of them. Wolves, Commander. Apex predators. They converted them into companions that sleep in their dwellings. But surely, Threx said weakly, our technology surpasses theirs. Our weapons. I brought up the final data sets, the ones that had haunted me for 3 cycles. Humans have engaged in continuous warfare throughout their recorded history. They have developed over 16,000 documented methods of killing one another. They engineered weapon systems that fired depleted uranium projectiles at supersonic velocities, mounted on aerial craft capable of altitudes our scouts cannot reach. I let that settle, and those are obsolete systems. Bryn's stalks drooped. Their current doctrine integrates satellite networks, autonomous targeting systems, and electromagnetic pulse weaponry capable of disabling our ships before orbital entry. They operate submarines that remain submerged for months, undetectable, each carrying enough firepower to sterilize a continent. And their space industry, I added, is no longer solely governmental. Private citizens construct launch vehicles for profit. They industrialize orbit. One human, Marcus Vex, owns a corporation that launches rockets, captures them mid-air with mechanical arms, and reuses them. I looked directly at Threx. They are reducing the cost of space travel, Commander. Do you understand what that implies? He said nothing. His breathing sacs had nearly stopped moving. In 20 cycles, perhaps 30, there will not be a single human world. There will be thousands, then millions, across multiple systems, and they reproduce exponentially. They will outnumber us before our descendants reach maturity. The silence became absolute. Finally, Threx spoke. Hollow. Defeated. What do you recommend, Analyst Vorp? I straightened and met all 6 of his eyes. Sir, I recommend complete non-aggression. Establish long-range monitoring only. Observe. Learn. And when they inevitably arrive at our borders, because they will, we greet them as equals. I held his gaze, possibly as friends, because the alternative is extinction. Threx stood motionless for a long moment. Then he pressed the command override, the one that cancels military operations. Meeting adjourned, he said quietly. Invasion canceled. Someone get me a sedative. As the room emptied, Bryn moved beside me. Do you think he learned his lesson? I watched Threx stumble toward the exit, all 4 arms hanging limp. Oh, he learned something, I said. He learned that humans are the galaxy's worst nightmare wrapped in soft skin and good intentions. Bryn tilted a stalk. Should we inform him about their science fiction? I hesitated. Explain. They have already written thousands of scenarios about alien invasions. In nearly every one, they win. I clicked softly. Let's keep that detail classified. I believe the commander has endured sufficient trauma for one cycle. And that is how I prevented the Galactic Expansion Committee from making the most catastrophically foolish decision in our collective history. The day we almost invaded Earth. The day we learned that sometimes the most terrifying entity in the universe is not the monster beneath the bed. It is the one that checks under the bed for monsters before sleeping. If this story entertained or taught you something, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and bring you more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.